I've not done an ice bath in over a week because it's been
So Joe reached out to me, we communicated through Twitter, and he's like, "Hey dude, you want to come to LA?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And this big black Denali pulls up with this Russian guy driving it and tinted windows, sweet BMW convertible rolls up, and just out pops Joe Rogan. And I'm like, that's really Joe Rogan. Oh my God. He pops the trunk, grabs his gym bag, bro hug, headphones on. You ready? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like, it was
Two guys, one bench. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Two Guys, One Bench. We got a different format coming on from now on. Darrell, what are we doing?
So we wanted to give the attention that these interviews deserve and keep them on their own episode, but that doesn't mean we're not going to still shit talk and do our segments.
Hell no. We're going to do those separately, and they're probably going to get worse than ever. But definitely want to highlight, we got an amazing guest on today, and we've had amazing guests in the past where, we may have cut it short a bit just because we wanted to fit it in a certain amount of time and then add our segments. And, we just felt that we were not rewarding this awesome experience we're having with these amazing people. And we're going to continue getting some amazing guests on. So stay tuned. And guess what we got on today?
So we got a great interview for you guys today. We're talking to kettlebell guru Keith Weber out of Red Deer, Alberta.
Yeah, believe it or not, Keith's a Alberta boy, but he's world renowned in kettlebells. And in fact, he's been on the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan has really promoted his kettlebell, Extreme Kettlebell workout as one of the hardest, kettlebell workouts out there. And it definitely looks terrifying for Darrell and I, who can't put down the fork. And we've actually verbally agreed to do a few challenges with Keith in the future. And, I'm up for it. We're going to probably eat a big piece of humble pie with some of these workouts. But it's definitely what we need. Darrell and I have been, powerlifting for the last, God knows how long, 4 years, 5 years for me. And then Darrell,
3 for myself.
3 nonstop without taking any breaks. And even if there's no meets, he's testing himself. So definitely him and I want to feel a little bit more limber and get back into like a normal shape. As powerlifting shape it's a specific shape and it's usually round. Not always, but yeah. So check out this awesome interview. Keith is a fucking legend, and we're really happy to have him on. So tune in and check it out. Boom! Special guest, Extreme Kettlebell workout creator, Joe Rogan's go-to workout, Keith Weber. All right, everybody, we're here with Keith Weber. He's the kettlebell mad scientist from Red Deer, Alberta. You may have seen him on the Joe Rogan podcast and around on, the YouTubes everywhere. He's basically the most jacked 51-year-old guy I've ever seen. He's got abs and fuck, I don't know, Darrell. You fill that in.
Yeah, he's obviously a big, accomplished guy. Like he said on multiple podcasts, see him on Instagram and in amazing shape. And
thanks, guys.
We're just glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be on. And I love doing this kind of thing, and I love talking to other like-minded fitness enthusiasts. And thanks for having me on.
Nice. So yeah, we're in Calgary, you're in Red Deer.
Yep.
A little snow last night too.
Oh yeah, yesterday was I went for a bike ride yesterday, and I had some sunshine and some snow and some rain and some wind, and amazing. It's Alberta.
People don't realize, like, Alberta, you get your first spring and then your second winter and then the second spring and then the third winter. But May is not it's a month where we expect it to snow as well. So it's kind of a crazy place. Yeah, Darrell.
Yeah, so like we like to talk with most of our guests, we just kind of want to know how you've been throughout this whole lockdown situation. I don't know what the restrictions are like in Red Deer, but
Yeah.
just how you've been getting by throughout all this through, I guess, lockdown 1, 2, and 3.
Right. Fortunately for my business, we were out of work for about 5 weeks, and that was it. So we've been working ever since. And during that time, honestly, I enjoyed it. It was like a vacation. And I remember, I think it was 5 or 6 weeks we were off work, and it was really, there were a lot of sunny days there. So yeah, I had a lot of extra time to, I did a lot of training with my kids. My daughter really got into kettlebell training, and we sort of test drove all of the workout plans. And I'd never really had a chance to do that before, because I'm kind of a spontaneous sort of a person, which is why I need a plan, which is kind of why I created the videos, because if I don't have something to follow, I'm very unfocused. I love any kind of exercise if it's intense. But definitely, yeah, we did the 6-week program combining the first 2 videos. Then we did, when we had to do it secretly too. We had like little underground locations where we had to move around the city because there were a lot of really paranoid people. So we got reported a couple. My wife and I own a couple different spots in town. So we had like a little workout area in one building, and then some people reported us, so we had to go move to the other building. And it was it was surreal. Like, it was just crazy. But I'd say all in all, it was kind of a gift, like a bit of a vacation. Got in touch with my kids, got into really good shape. Did a lot of YouTube videos. Like, I made the best of it. I didn't get day drunk, let's put it that way. Like, I didn't watch TV. I just took this time, and it was like the first time I've had a block of time where I could do a whole bunch of stuff I love to do. But usually when you're on vacation, your family doesn't understand that you're going to spend 3 days filming YouTube videos or something. So this was sort of, it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me.
Did you see maybe like an increase of people reaching out to you through, maybe they see you on other podcasts, or especially through social media, because now that's literally all people are doing. They're on their phones if they're not working, and they're like, I need something to do. I only have a kettlebell at home. I don't have a full gym. Like, did they reach out to you more?
Yeah. And and my wife has never really thought a lot about my kettlebell videos. It's funny how your family, they just sort of, I don't want to say take you for granted, but they don't really
That's just
care.
your thing to them.
That's the way it is, right?
I know about
And so I was really lucky. Joe Rogan did a couple shout outs during the first quarantine, or the first lockdown, and Bert Kreischer kind of got on to me through Joe, and so he put out a few shout outs doing my videos. And he is a funny man, so he's just like a big dude, and he's sweating, and he's mad at me because of my videos. And so my Instagram account grew. The video sales went through the roof. Trust me, even I'd hate to try to make a living selling videos. Like, even though video sales went through the roof, it's not like I bought a Ferrari. But it was nice. It was it's just nice to know that people are embracing that whole home workout thing and taking responsibility for their health. And so if I can help out with that, that's great.
Yeah, definitely. Like, friends with a few people that basically make equipment in town. Bells of Steel is a big manufacturer. They make kettlebells, and
that's where we get all our kettlebells.
Nice.
That we sell at the clinic. So, and
awesome.
I love their kettlebells. They're beautiful, and the price point, like, it's very, very fair. And yeah, it's nice to support local.
Yeah, and then right beside them is a strong arm sport. He focuses a little more on powerlifting stuff. So, but and they've had a hell of a year. They've expanded, and just like, I've even kind of had a side business where it's called Home Gyms YYC. We're just helping people build their own home gyms, and I've helped a few clients, essentially turn their garage into their gym, and now they just canceled their gym passes and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I definitely feel like your your series, we say DVDs, that's how old we are. Malcolm doesn't even know what those look like.
I remember those when you corrected yourself on like DVDs. I'm like,
VHSs.
what would they be sold on? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just like that whole workout is so ideal because you need maybe one or two kettlebells and you're good.
Yeah.
And I've heard about this workout, the Extreme Kettlebell workout, for almost a decade because Joe Rogan has been on that forever. And around that time, I was living in Japan. I was training as a fighter out there, and I was a teacher as well. But did a lot of kettlebell workouts at that time too. So I, was looking for your stuff. It was kind of hard to find it.
Yeah.
Might have pirate bait it. Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I bought it today.
I take it as a compliment when people pirate my stuff. I'm like, oh wow, they must like it. Okay, that's nice.
I just want to get back to so you had Joe Rogan pushing you out, and then he was selling your on the Onnit site at one point, right? Or still are?
Yeah, and how that came about was before, this would have been in 2014. I think it was the summer of 2014, before I didn't even know what a podcast. I might have heard of the term podcast, but I didn't listen to podcasts. And at the time, it was all DVD, and I think Dragon Door was the main distributor in US. And I just suddenly started getting all these emails from people, and Dragon Door's like, we need more DVDs, and we're sending them out by the boxes, like of 100, just shipping them out to Dragon Door. It was like such a waste of money because I had to get them printed in Vancouver, so then get them FedEx back to Red Deer, and then FedEx them to Minnesota, which is sort of the home base for Dragon Door. And then they had like distribution sites in Texas. So it was a lot of fossil fuels wasted on the whole video thing, but it was great. And they're suddenly saying, we need more videos, and people are emailing me and saying, hey, I heard about your videos. And one guy said, yeah, Joe Rogan really likes your stuff, and he advertises it all the time. And I'm like, no, come on. And so he sent me a link, and I couldn't believe it, right? Because Joe Rogan, he's amazing. I've watched him ever since Fear Factor, right? I loved that show, and he made the show, really.
Yeah.
So and then that was back before Instagram, I think. So I think Twitter was sort of the way that people talked on the internet. And there was lots of like Twitter stuff going on, and there were a lot of people telling Joe, oh, we'd love to see Keith on the podcast, we love the video. And
Japan, it was a bit of a way to escape my crazy life in Japan. And my wife's Japanese, speaking Japanese all day long. I'd throw on the podcast, and I could hear some North American talk, and not not those crazy Japanese TV shows where they're fucking doing on cockroaches and doing crazy shit. But so it was my escape, driving around, going to the gym and stuff.
And you were in Japan for a long time, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there 11 years.
11 years. So you can speak Japanese.
Yeah, I'm fluent in Japanese.
That's crazy. Imagine how much of your brain is like activated just knowing that language compared to like the normal person. It's pretty cool.
I think it like boosted my IQ slightly. I was kind of dumb, and now I'm just kind of normal. But it's funny seeing a giant gorilla man speaking Japanese. Darrell always laughs.
I remember I knew he spoke fluent Japanese. He told me he had a Japanese wife, and I was still so shocked to hear it, because one of the first times me and Russ ever hung out, actually, it was the day after a meet. I told him he was coaching. I was like, come train with us tomorrow. So we train, and then he's like, you guys want to go out to eat? So we go out for dim sum. Going out for dim sum, and I remember he's sitting down and his wife's beside him. He talked to us and said something. I put my head down, I start to eat, and I just hear the deepest Japanese voice ever. I was like, I thought I was in an anime. And I look over, and he's talking to his wife, and my eyes just lit up. I was like trying to bump my girlfriend, be like, listen to him.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't expect it. They don't expect anybody to know their code. And like I had this client. He was an older Japanese guy. He lived in New York as a sushi chef. And he's like, I wouldn't trust you if I was Japanese in New York and you started talking to me in my language, I would run the other way, because it's like it's not supposed to happen. But I attribute that to just being a young guy and wanting to talk to girls. That's what really that's what got the study game on. I'm in there just studying, you know, what do I say to these cute little Japanese girls? But yeah, it was definitely a crazy experience. But we're here to talk about your experiences more than mine. One thing on the Joe Rogan, I thought it was funny. I reviewed that podcast today, and he was giving you shit for talking about 𝐓.𝐆.𝐻. If you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't have that down there. They call it spaghetti or something. I'm like, yeah, I remember that can.
Yeah. I loved how he was he was like very he didn't kiss my ass. Like, he was very, like, you know, I had to be on my toes, and I think it made for a much better podcast. But I was pretty tired after that, because you know, I kind of had to back up everything I said, because, you know, he'll call bullshit if sounds like bullshit. So he's a great interviewer, and it's amazing. Like, you walk into his building and he's like, hey man, he's just like a normal guy. Hey, you want a coffee? Yeah. And then as soon as his headphones come on and his producer starts recording, it's just like, bing, there's Joe Rogan. Like the Joe Rogan we see at UFC fights. It's just like, it's almost like this like light comes on. This robot comes to life, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah, he's pretty amazing individual.
Before you obviously exploded on the scene, did you ever think that you would experience success like this with kettlebells and have like a world-renowned product that people are buying? Like, where the inspiration and everything come from, where you thought like maybe other people want to see this too?
Okay, the true story is I was teaching kettlebells. Like, I fell in love with kettlebells when I first discovered them accidentally through reading Power to the People by Pavel Tsatsouline. I'd never done a deadlift before I read this book. I was like 30 years old. I thought just big guys deadlifted, right? I was just like, you know, kind of a normal guy. And this book had a huge impact on me, because I started doing deadlifts. And anyway, at the end of the book, there's this advertisement for kettlebells. And I was like, kind of looked at it. Oh yeah. And then also Pavel was writing articles in Muscle Media 2000 back then. So yeah, when I took the course, I was like blown away, and I just thought this is the perfect tool for the normal person that doesn't want to go to the gym, or that doesn't want to learn how to do a deadlift, or that, like, it's just the ideal blend of strength, cardio, core, flexibility, all those things that we want. And as a physiotherapist, I thought, well, if I teach this properly, it's not going to hurt people. So anyway, so I'm doing these classes in our building, in our physio clinic. We had a massive space that really wasn't being used for anything else. And it just sort of caught on. Like, it was like people, I think word of mouth in Red Deer's, like anywhere, is really strong. And it was, and I tried to talk about this on Joe's podcast, but he kind of shut me down. So, but I was trying to tell him that most of I designed these workouts for women, because most of the people that come to the classes are women. Because at that time, like, most guys just want to lift weights, and like, they don't really want to bust their asses. Where if you go to any gym, you see women, they're the ones sweating it out on the elliptical and the stair climber and the treadmill. They love that rush of cardio. And so I had to make these classes harder and harder, because all these women are coming out, and if I didn't like kick their asses, they weren't happy. And the thing that really got me was women love to talk. So I would be just dying at the end of a set, and they're chatting. As soon as the kettlebell goes down, they're like chatting about their kids. And I'm like, I was getting pissed off. I was like, what the hell? So I kept upping the ante, and I wanted them to shut up. And so I had to like make these insane sets. And that's what Extreme One is based off. It's kind of like a greatest hits, because I had to make the workouts long enough to get your heart rate maxed out so that you lose your breath, But I had to make them varied enough so that it's not just boring, because there's a lot of boring kettlebell videos out there, and no offense to anyone else, but I bought them all, and and that's the other reason I created them. I was like, I wanted something that I would want to do that was kind of fun and kind of hit everything. So I wasn't like, well, now I got to go do something else because the workout wasn't complete enough. That's what, like spin classes. I don't love spin classes because you're working the hell out of your legs, but you're missing up the upper body, you know, like it's
repetitive. And
so
yeah.
So that's why the videos are so hard. And the other reason is when I did the first instructor's course in Minnesota, there's like all these hardcore guys. Like it was special forces guys from the military and Navy SEALs and like the hardest core personal trainers. And so I thought, well, these guys might see my video, and if it's too easy, they'll think I'm a wimp, right? So I had all these influences that really drove me to make the video as hard as possible. So yeah, it's become a classic, and it was never so sorry. Anyway, to get back to your question, the reason I made the video is because a lot of people couldn't come to classes, and they said it would be great if you could make a DVD of one of your classes. And honestly, for 2 years, I procrastinated on it because I didn't have a camera. And I saw a lot of these videos, they were filmed in like someone's studio, and there's like a ripped Bruce Lee poster in the background. Like they were terrible. Or there's like a blue screen, and it was just it wasn't cool, right? And I came from the era of T.G.O.B and P90X, right, where they like put a lot of production value into it. And so yeah, we went on vacation to Mexico. I brought a kettlebell with me. The heaviest thing I could bring for the fragile luggage was 20 kilos, and that was kind of the weight that I found I could get the reps I needed in and get my heart rate up at the same time as working my muscles to the point of not failure, but almost, you know. And then you switch arms, right? And then you do this arm, and then, oh my God, this arm's too tired. Meanwhile, your heart is just like going through your chest. So, so yeah, we filmed it on this like shitty camcorder. I brought it home. I went to a few different places that did sort of multimedia, they called it at the time. And totally lucked out with this one guy that was had this little firm that had this genius working for him, and she edited that thing and added music, and just it couldn't have worked out. It was exactly what I pictured, like when they showed me the finished product. Like we kind of had meetings during the whole, but it took months, and it was I almost gave up a few times because I thought, this isn't even worth it. Like I'm just making a video for these people that do my class. And then we finally got it done, and I sent a copy to John Duquesne, that was the publisher for Dragon Door. And I said, John, here's my video. I don't know what you think, but check it out, you know. And well, I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. And one day before we go on our Christmas vacation, 1 year after I filmed the thing, he emails me, he goes, Keith, we need like 1,000 of those immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm scrambling and doing all this. And this is back in the day where, you know, things weren't quite as accessible. So
what year was it?
Oh, that would have been 2005.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we just scrambled, and thank God everything sort of came together. Sent 1,000 videos to him, and then halfway through our vacation, he's like, I need more of these videos. And it's such a pain in the ass making DVDs compared to like the digital thing, right? But that's the way it was. That was all we had. And so yeah, it was crazy. Like it just sort of kind of caught, and I totally didn't expect it. And and then, you know, the years went by, and I came up with some new ideas. So I didn't want to make the exact same format on each video. So the second video was more of a punishment video. It was more like, how, if you're too wimpy to do the first video, do this video, because you can use a bit of a heavier weight. The rep scheme's a little bit different, but it's brutal too. It's so hard. And then the third video was inspired by Dan John. He's one of those legendary trainers, coaches in the States that if he looked like Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh shit.
It's all good.
It's all
Sorry,
good.
guys, he's still there.
Yeah.
He would be like super famous, but he just looks like kind of like just sort of like a normal gym teacher, but he's brilliant. And and I met him at one of the recertification courses, and such an awesome guy. So he inspired me. He was doing a lot of complexes with barbells. And so I thought, I was trying to do these things, right? But a barbell is way less convenient for a lot of these movements compared to 2 kettlebells, because you can kind of slide them between your legs. They don't hit your shins, and on a quick tangent, it drives me nuts when I see people deadlifting with kettlebells, because barbells are for deadlifting, kettlebells are for other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, kettlebells have their place. And I think when people start to mix things up too much, it really takes away from the exercise. You can't lift enough weight with 2 kettlebells to get the workout that you could with a barbell. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so yeah, just through the years, I just came up with new ideas and kind of reflected the way that my training had evolved. And Extreme 4, I actually filmed it with my kids, and that's more of a maintenance video. So that's one, if you want to do kettlebells a couple times a week, but you also want to have enough energy to power lift or do triathlons, it won't kill. It's hard enough, but it won't kill you. It's all the basic movements. It's kind of like I've taken all the awesomeness of kettlebells and distilled it into these sort of 3 15-minute workouts, 15 to 20 minutes. It takes longer than that because you need breaks in between the segments. But yeah, so it's just sort of evolved over the years. So I need to come up with Extreme 5, I guess. So I'm coming up with ideas, and being injured and recovering from the surgery has given me a huge amount of motivation. I will never take the ability to do kettlebells again for granted, because actually I just did my second real kettlebell workout since my surgery on Friday. And this morning I thought I'd have to like sit on my ass and like go down the stairs one leg at a time. Like, my legs are so sore, my ass is so sore, my abs, everything is just, and I've been training, but there's fit and then there's kettlebell fit. So
Yeah, and just like anything, when some gets introduced, I think people kind of attach certain like movements or workout ways to certain people. Like you said, where barbells were for guys and so on. Do you think there's still misconceptions attached to kettlebell workouts?
I do. And again, I don't like to be critical. And I guess being 51 years old, I guess I don't like to think of myself as old school. I don't love that term, but I guess I kind of am, in the sense that I see a lot of these kettlebell videos where there's like all these fancy movements with like a super light kettlebell. And I don't like it. Personally, I don't like it, because I don't think if I want to dance, I'll dance. If I want to do aqua aerobics, but I leave the kettlebells out of it. It's like, it'd be like the Olympics or like deadlifting. When you go to a deadlifting meet, you do a deadlift, you lock out and you get, the thumbs up, and then you put the bar down. You don't do a pirouette, or you don't switch your hands and like throw the bar up in the air, do that kind of. And I'm seeing a lot of that with kettlebell training, and I guess it's okay. Like, I guess people love novelty, but I personally, you'll never see that in my videos, because basically what I'm trying to do is use this tool to bring my muscles as close to failure as possible, while at the same time elevating my heart rate so that I'm better at other things. And I like training that is very focused, and it doesn't take, there's no fluff. I don't like fluff. So that's kind of, so when I see a lot of this stuff on the internet, I find it interesting, but I just don't think it's that effective.
I find it funny when you mentioned that you were teaching these female classes and they won't shut up in between. I was teaching a similar thing with more of an MMA influence, because I'm also a martial arts instructor, and I did this class. It was called T.G.O.B, whatever. but it was a lot of kettlebell stuff, like a station, then go on to doing some body weight stuff, then hitting a bag, and it works great. Kettlebells are an awesome add to those kind of classes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I'm not pushing them, like the girls just talk the whole time, talking about their so you gotta force them. Like if you're talking, you're not going hard enough. What are you doing? Let's go.
I agree completely. Like one of my son's friends, he's a funny kid. He said, yeah, if I don't feel like absolute shit after a workout, what's the point? I'm like, yeah, I suppose. And I know there's lots of experts out there that don't agree with that concept of like, you know, training to the point where you're exhausted. But I think for a lot of sports, that's the whole idea, right? You're trying to elevate, you're trying to adapt to a higher level so that when you're, say, doing mixed martial arts, you have that capacity that the other guy doesn't. So you need to push yourself in training to get that. And even for a guy like me that doesn't do any combative sports anymore, I mean, I guess I play beer league hockey and, you know, I do my thing, but it's like, I just do it because I love the feeling of it. I love pushing myself. I love seeing if I can beat like, I don't want to give into the whole concept of, well, I remember back when I was 35 and I did the extreme videos. That was crazy. Like, I want to be able to do my own videos. And I know I'll get to the point where maybe when I'm 80, you know, my arm will snap if I use the same weight as I use now, but you know, hopefully not. I mean, I'm going to keep going as long as I can. And I think the only way to do that is to keep pushing yourself and obviously be smart about recovery and sleep. And the rules change as you get a little bit older. For me, I know I have to take a little bit better care of myself so I can train hard enough to get that healthy feeling that I strive for. But it's not that much different, honestly. I think if you keep yourself in really good shape, it's not that much different. You know, it's not like you turn 50 and suddenly you take up golf and just watch hockey on TV. Like I can see why. I can see it how it happens. Like, because I've got lots of friends that have fallen into that trap. But yeah, you just can't. You got to fight it, right? You got to fight that little voice in your head telling you that, yeah, you're getting up there. It's time to relax. Because the minute you do that, that's when you start to go into that road of decay.
Yeah, I mean, well, Darrell and I, we push ourselves as well, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and you know, Darrell's 31, I'm 41, you're 51, but Darrell's still young enough. People don't say, oh, well, you're 30, but when you're 40, like, people are surprised that, you know, holy shit, you're 41 and you're like, I won worlds in powerlifting 2 years ago, roughly.
I saw that.
39. So it's like, well, you know, age is a number if you let it be. Now I'm on more of a kick where I want to, you know, I just bought a gym. I'm focusing on coaching MMA again. I want to be in better shape. So I've dropped quite a bit of weight. So what next challenge, I don't know, but I'm kind of looking forward to just leaning out. I don't think I'll ever have maybe a 2-pack, but not an 8-pack like yours. But I have to cut down weight. And I'm not.
Well, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm not willing to put down the fork or the bottle for that.
Yeah, I know that. Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, like I like beer and chocolate and good food, but I do like healthy food, and I'm sure you do too. So like, I don't really crave junk food, but I love treats, right, and things like that. But yeah, like I just I don't know, I totally lost my train of thought there. But yeah, like I think you can have your cake and eat it too with kettlebell training. And I think for a challenge for you, I'd love for you to test out the 6-week program.
Okay.
And that's combining the first 2 videos, and it's kind of fun, and it's hard enough that I think you'll feel like you know, it's a challenge. And I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of old school, even though I don't love that term. But on my website, I've got the scroll down menu for all the workouts. And so what I do personally is I print them off. And if I'm doing the 6-week program, I put it on my fridge, and then I just I record the workout, how long it took me, and how I felt. And then it's there. And it reminds me every time I go to the fridge, I'm like, okay, tomorrow, holy shit, I got to do that. perfect. And it was a really fun experience because I'd never done my own programs until last year. And it was, yeah, it's definitely a work of inspiration. Like it was, I put a lot of thought into all of my programs and all of the videos, and it's turned out to be worth it. It's like a passion project because it's not how I make my living. And so it's definitely, there's a pure intent there, just the love of training. Hey. And just like, that's what it was all about.
I think me and Russ need to give it a go and tell you how powerlifters. Well, I already said after I tested my lifts, I kind of wanted to switch up training a bit. And even though I powerlift now, 3 years ago, when I was in a gym, I was teaching 30-minute HIIT classes. And
right.
it was very limited, but there was kettlebells, didn't have much money for equipment there. It was just a small gym. And I have to teach 4 people at a time for 30 minutes. So what's the easiest way to teach 4 people? I was looking up kettlebell movements and getting that stuff. And the women loved it and guys liked it because you can just switch it. You can make it like a front squat. You can have them up here doing front squats. You can have them doing cleans or snatches. And it gives you more variety because some people may have terrible shoulders and will never barbell clean in their life, because they just don't have the mobility. But it's such a cool feeling to grab a kettlebell and clean it. You're like, when it just turns over on the rip, you're like, oh, okay, I can do it. And it makes it applicable to pretty much any sport or person.
Yeah. And I just bought a brand new set. So I got from like blues all the way to reds, or pinks to reds. So
perfect.
I'm good for that. I am one of a guy that I can clean and press the gold too, though. Can you do that drill?
The what?
The gold.
What's the gold? How much is the gold? That's pretty heavy, isn't it?
110 pounder.
I could do
Holy shit.
Well, strict press. Anyways, we won't get onto that. But yeah, I think I'm in for it because I really want to drop. I hit about 320. I need to get down another 5-10 pounds. So I think I might take you up on that offer. I just bought your four series anyway, so why not?
Oh, thank you. Well, I would love to come down and train with you guys too. Like, because I'm, like I said, I'm getting back into it too. And
well,
like,
why don't we get you into some barbell, some powerlifting, maybe potentially even get you in a singlet?
We'll do a trade-off. You teach us, we teach you.
That would be a dream come true, actually, to do a powerlifting meet, because it is, like I'm not a naturally strong person. So like I have to work for everything I have. And that's why I've fallen in love with this whole kettlebell thing and the weightlifting thing, because I'm naturally good at cardio stuff like running and triathlons. But I love weightlifting because it's so hard for me. And it's so every little improvement I make is a huge win. So
all right. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on. You talked about being a physiotherapist, right? And
yes,
obviously that's your career. That's what you took all those years of school for. And I re-listened to the podcast with Rogan, and you're talking about even kettlebells are almost an alternative to weightlifting. And you do a little bit of traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and stuff like that. And then you guys are also talking, back then in 2014, like Graston and Rolfing or whatever that, fascia release stuff was kind of like, oh, it's cutting edge. But now everybody has a set in their basement and they're all, their girlfriends are cupping their fucking God knows what.
Oh, cupping. Cupping is so popular, hey?
I know. But you get all these people just buy the kits on Amazon and, walking around like a octopus fucked them, but they don't really know what they're doing. But as you're in your profession, obviously, I think it sounds like you actually, compared to some physiotherapists that I know of and Darrell knows of, they're kind of the boring stuff. They hook you up to a machine and they do this and that. But you're like, let's do something different, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I am so fortunate that I took a course back in. So after my first year of doing physio, I I had 3 different applications into med schools because I did not want to be a physiotherapist anymore. And I had taken all of my post-grad training in that first year because I wanted to find out how to help people, because what they taught us in school was to hook a person to a machine and give them exercises. And I knew there was more. And I wasn't getting very good results with people, and I was kind of getting by on my personality. And thank God I took this weekend course, and they really, at the time, and they still do in physio school, really downplay the power of soft tissue work. They're all about, like you talked about, they're all about just giving the person some exercises and giving them hell about their posture. And it's so what I usually, when people ask me what I do, I have to preface it by don't judge me wrongly here. I'm a physiotherapist, but I'm not what you think, like, because I'm very disappointed by my profession, and my kids are both in physiotherapy school. So it's wonderful. I still love it. But anyway, I took this course from this guy from Scotland, and he was all about the soft tissue stuff. And I had severe elbow pain for about 8 years, to the point where if I did a squat, it would take me like 30 seconds to straighten my arm after, because my elbow was so sore. And, pull-ups were days on end. It was like a golfer's elbow thing, right? And of course, in school, they teach us that, well, if your elbow and that is sore there, then it's your C7 in your neck. So I had lasering my C7 and doing traction. My boss is working on my neck. And this guy did 10 minutes of work on my arm and got rid of 8 years of pain in 10 minutes. And I didn't even tell him about my arm. It was just my turn to go up and get tortured by this guy. And the next morning I woke up, and for the first time in 8 years, I could move my arm without pain. And where he worked on me, the muscles were sore, but that same pain that I had all those years was gone. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I signed up for. So I went back to the course and told him about this, and I just followed. I hung on every word for the rest of the course. I couldn't wait to get back to work on Monday and try this stuff out. And well, I've been living in heaven, really, like as far as my profession goes, for the last 22 years. Like, it's been I'm so thankful. And I'm at the same time, I'm a little bit disappointed that even other physiotherapists in Red Deer don't, this is no secret. This is not like a magical trick. It's just traditional physiotherapy. So, and you combine that with some Chinese medicine, and some other things, it's very powerful, and people can walk out feeling like, wow, like I really accomplished something today. This guy didn't just tell me to go home and rest. He's got me, I can go to the gym and I can squat now because my knee doesn't hurt, or what have you, so it's so rewarding, and I still love it. And so
yeah, that's what separates you from other people in your field, because like you said, it's common knowledge to them that it's there. They can go learn this stuff. They have access to it. They just choose not to. And I think me and Russ see it with being trainers. We also deal with the bad stereotype, because tell someone you're a trainer, it's like, oh, you're just one of those douchebags who puts me through a workout plan. It's like, no, there are people out there who do try and better their craft like you do, and give people a different experience than what's been going on for the last 40 years. But some people, I find, just want to, honestly, regardless if it is, they want the 9 to 5 mentality even in their job. So if I can still get paid, I'm not going to give you extra time off, but you are obviously putting in the overtime where other people aren't, and that's why you get to enjoy a certain level of success other people can't.
Yeah. Well, and I think we are in the same realm, because as a trainer, you can do so much to enhance a person's life, and at the same time, you could just, like you said, be very average and kind of just mail it in, and that person's not really going to benefit. And I figure, like, if you've got a ticket to help people get out of pain like I do, or you have the knowledge and a ticket to say you can make a living by helping a person physically, like, that's a huge honor and a privilege, and one that shouldn't be taken lightly. So when people do the 9 to 5 thing and they don't have any passion for it, I'm like, why don't you do something you love? Like, you know, don't, this person's going to come to you and they're going to leave feeling like, well, that's what physiotherapy is. Well, that sucks. And they might not even seek out other forms of treatment because they think it's disappointing, but what do you do, right?
I've like spent my entire life putting everything into this, and like finally I have my own gym. But I always say that, you know, I have a superpower, and I change lives basically. And you do that too. Like if I can take someone that's having a shitty life and then they meet me,
Yeah.
and then their life gets infinitely better, and everything in their life gets better. They make more money. It's like I have a superpower, and it's pretty awesome. And
I love that.
I get paid to do it, right? So
you have a superpower. I'm going to write that down. Because you're right. It's a superpower to help other people.
Yeah.
It's just the best thing I think a person can do. I mean, and to do it to the best of your ability. So
Yeah, and kind of sticking around that element of pain a little bit. Anyone who follows you on Instagrams kind of sees that you went through a major surgery yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Could you kind of take us through the recovery from that, and also what led up to you having to have it?
Okay, so quick story. When I was 20 playing hockey, just took a funny hit, and I tore the cartilage in my right knee, like a big chunk of it. So my knee wouldn't straighten. So I had to like kind of crawl off the ice. My teammates sort of helped me off the ice, and it wasn't even that painful. It was just like I literally couldn't straighten my knee. Go to emergency. Thank God there was like an up and coming surgeon on call that was, he said, have you eaten anything? And I said, not for a while, because I had a hockey game. He goes, okay, you're not eating anything till tomorrow morning. I'm going to fix that knee. So went in. He said, you're going to wake up. If I can fix that cartilage, you're going to wake up with a cast on your leg for 6 weeks. And if I can't fix it, you're going to walk out of here with a sore knee. So, and I remember I woke up from the surgery, I felt down, there's this hard thing on my leg. I'm like, yes, he fixed my knee. So then zoom ahead 25 years, and I was surfing and got hit by a wave, funny, and my knee just made this weird noise. And again, it didn't, and this was actually the year I filmed Extreme 3. And I was bound and determined to film that video no matter what. So my knee felt pretty bad. But it was like, I can still squat, and okay, it's okay, but something bad happened there. And so then for the next 3 years, if I did like yoga and stuff, I was a Lululemon ambassador, so I had to kind of do a lot of yoga. So I get into that one pigeon pose, and then I'd be like, oh God, the cartilage would actually slip out. My knee would lock in that 90-degree position. So I'd have to like kind of bite my hand and straighten my leg, and it would kind of go clonk, and I'm like, oh my God. So that was going on, and I knew I had to do something, but I was very irresponsible. I should have flown to Vancouver, gone to a private clinic and had them fix it. But instead I thought, oh, I'll go another week, I'll be fine. And so it finally locked up really bad. And the guy that I had to go to emergency because my pulse was getting weak in my foot. So the guy took out this massive chunk of cartilage. So all of a sudden my knee went from being pretty functional, I could run, do triathlons, to being like really bad, like bone on bone. And it was terrible. I couldn't even go for walks with my wife, but I could do kettlebells. I could still squat, and I could bike, but I couldn't walk very far. And so anyway, I go cycling with some of the family doctors in town, and the one guy knows another guy who runs the sports medicine clinic in Banff. And he said, oh, you should go see my friend Mark. He might be able to help you. So I go and see this guy, and he's like a guru. Hey, he's like an awesome guy. He's the surgeon for the Canadian alpine ski team. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we can go and we can cut your bone in half and crack it open and put a wedge of bone in and change the angle of your leg and put a big plate on. My wife's, she's a physio as well. She's like, is that a thing? That sounds terrible. And he's like, I've done 6 this week. So I'm like, okay, this is my guy. So yeah, it's called the high tibial osteotomy. So they saw they cut your tibia right below the joint line, crack it open. I watched the surgery before I went in, and they put a wedge of bone in, and then they put a big plate on so that wedge of bone will kind of become part of you. And So yeah, I've never had a broken leg before, but they kind of give you a compound fracture, right? Like they just sort of crack your leg open. And so the recovery was difficult because in order for this bone graft to take, you can't be an idiot. You got to keep the weight off the leg, because if you put too much stress on it, the bone, it's like stepping on cement when it's trying to dry. So when I went to see him at the 4-week follow-up and he looked at the x-ray, he was like, he read me the riot act. He's like, this bone is not healing. Like, you can see this black area around the graft. Like, this is never going to heal if you keep doing this. And I thought he was going to think I was awesome. Like, oh, you're already walking with a cane. Oh, you're already, like, I was like ready to go back to the gym. And he's like, no, you got to take it easy. Like, for the next 10 weeks, you have got to just like take it easy. And I was so depressed, and I missed exercising. And so I just sort of, I don't know, I guess I made the best of it. I started sleeping in every day. I didn't worry about working out. I just sort of ate what I wanted, just sort of wanted to see what it felt like to just sort of live without discipline, I guess. I mean, I had a measure of discipline, but not really. Like, it was, and TV is really boring. So I was like watching all these stupid movies from with subtitles, so I wouldn't like fall asleep, and taking all the CBD candy that my friends would bring me. And so I'm high all the time. I'm drinking craft beer and eating junk food. And my wife would come home from work, and it was fun, but it wore off fairly quickly. So when I went to see him for the follow-up and he said, okay, the bone is healed, it was such a relief, because I really thought I screwed things up. And then the uphill climb, hey, after not really doing a lot for 3.5 months, like, it was I couldn't even do like my little 5 rights, my little stretching routine, right? Like, it's so, yeah, it was like really starting at square one. And so I hired a diet, like a meal planning coach, and I started training with a friend of mine that's a really good personal trainer. He's got his own like little thing in his garage. And so I needed help, and I reached out and I got help from other people, and I was accountable to somebody. So that made all the difference in the world. Now, if I wouldn't have had those resources, it would have been it was a struggle, but it was way less of a struggle. And at least I had somebody helping me, right? Because I couldn't even get motivated to, I've got a gym right behind me here, a beautiful home gym. I couldn't even like imagine, like, I look at, like, I could have been bench pressing the whole time when my leg was recovered. I could probably be like an awesome bench presser now, but it's amazing how your creativity goes when a big part of you is messed up. So it was a real awesome experience, really, looking back now, because I will never take things for granted again. Like walking without a cane, doing kettlebells, just getting out of bed to take a leak in the middle of the night and not have to like get a walker. It's all these little things that I never thought about before. It's just, so yeah, I'm so thankful that I'm recovering, and I'm still not there yet, but I'm getting better every day. And it's so yeah, like I think I can relate better to people that are out of shape and that have been out of shape for a long time. But in a way, like, at least I had a knowledge, and at least I had like a base of resources I could reach. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, if they try to do it themselves, it's not possible. You need to hire someone like you guys, or you need to find somebody to help you, like a professional. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, but other than that, I mean, you've had that, that corrective surgery. I mean, Darrell and I have both had knee surgeries. He's blown out his ACL. I have too. I don't have an ACL. He has reconstructed one.
Yeah, and then so 2 more after that.
I know what it's like. And he was a pretty high level basketball player, and I was fighting. I actually fought without a ligament, and just built the muscle up around it. But it slid out a few times, and that's not fun.
No, that is not.
But other than that, I mean, you, like we talk about it, but you're 51 years old, and you look probably younger than us right now. And we got ad filters on our Zoom right now, so it makes us look like we have baby.
Me too. I got makeup on. I got that war paint. You guys seen
Your
that?
wife, do you?
Yeah. No, I won't. I'll never do that. I see these ads. Have you guys seen those ads on Instagram for war paint?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, the
Yeah, they got
men's
this
kind of bag.
Yeah.
I seen the ones for the
men's.
guys at the bag, that clean up the bags and the wrinkles, and but I haven't
Yeah,
seen
this one's actually makeup, and war paint sounds way cooler than men's makeup. But there's this like really jack handsome guy, just built, and he's talking about how he's putting his war paint on to get rid of the blemishes. And so all the girls at work are like, Keith, are you going to get some of that stuff? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Tempted, but I won't do that.
Yeah, I got a client. He's about 55 and good looking guy, but he's, some days he'll walk in feeling a little tired, and I'm like, oh, you look every bit of 55. This bag cream they have on Instagram that I see, it's just, oh, you just put it under your eyes and on your wrinkles and you look great, but it's all bullshit for sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So other than that, you talk about your workouts and whatever, triathlon, like I would die after a 50-meter run. Darrell can run more than I can. He can do like a 5K, which is remarkable, at 280, deadlift and 820. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, but are there other things like nutrition wise? Is there anything you do for that? I remember I heard you talking about you ate a lot of soups back when you were still on that soup diet.
Yeah, well, my wife, she's an Ayurvedic practitioner as well. And so that is sort of like the East Indian version of Chinese medicine. It's their sort of, and it's all about digestion. So they really advise against eating raw vegetables because it's really hard. And even the Chinese, they don't believe in eating raw vegetables either. That's why when you go for Chinese food, and it's probably the same with Japanese food, like everything's steamed, right? Just enough to break things down. Like we're in North America, we're all about salads and stuff, but I think we're sort of an anomaly in that respect. So yeah, instead of eating cereal and like a traditional breakfast, like bacon and eggs and stuff like that, we started eating this sort of breakfast soup, and it's great, like great way to start your day, and sits well. And yeah, I think I'm still doing that. Like when I did this new meal plan, I followed what the guy told me to because I was paying for it, and I was eating a lot more carbs than I had in years.
Yeah,
and that's a good way to go too. Holy crap! Like low fat, moderate protein, high carb, like really a clean diet. It really helped me kind of detoxify and get all that crap out of my system that I put in with the 3.5 months I was recovering. But now I'm more back to eating more of the vegetables and cutting down on the carbs a little bit, just because it's springtime and you're supposed to sort of, let your liver kind of recover in the springtime. So, oh shoot, sorry guys.
All good.
And so the breakfast soup thing is still a thing.
Well, obviously we're all in a lockdown right now, and people around the world are kind of having to take time away from their gyms depending where they are. And obviously you went through something similar where you just literally couldn't get in the gym or else your leg wouldn't heal. Do you have any tips for people at home who may be struggling to like get back into their routine, or maybe looking to make a change but don't know where to start?
Yeah, like I would hire somebody, right? Like just like I need somebody to do my taxes for me. I could probably do it myself, but I'd screw it up and it would take me forever. So it's sort of the same thing with getting back into shape. I think you need at least once a week, like hire a trainer to come up with a program and come up with a graduated progression, because just to do it yourself, it's so confusing. And like I've spent hours developing programs that I never did instead of working out, right? It's amazing how like, hey, I'm going to make up a new program. I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm going to make up this program and I'll work out tomorrow. Like it's amazing how you just sort of go down this miserable spiral of beating yourself up for not working out. Whereas if you have an appointment with somebody, well, you're going to show up and you're going to do it. And then pretty soon, just like bad habits accumulate, good habits accumulate. So
Nice.
or get a program off the internet that you have to pay some money for. But those tend to be, and I've done this myself, those tend to be something that you just don't comply with. You need another human being. And I know with COVID, like, it's definitely more challenging, but I think there's still the ability to go face to face with people, like in a one-on-one setting. So
Definitely.
then,
Yeah.
like, as far as, so go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely double down on the accountability thing, and
Yep.
hiring a coach, even if it's just an online coach, it's probably an easier option where they'll found you. Like, I've got people in China. I got a new girl that signed up for a meet in Bahrain, and it's kind of cool. I can connect with these people and just view their videos, say, don't do that, here's what we're going to change, and then just when they don't send me stuff, I'm like, where's my fucking video? Stay on top of them. And Darrell's an outstanding online coach as well, and he doesn't make it easy on his athletes, because he demands, if you're on the team, you got to be lifting a certain amount of weight, or else it's a no-go.
No, it's the way to go, and I think it's the way of the future. Like, I do my guitar lessons online. I used to have to pack up my guitar and drive my car to this place and sit in this waiting room, and all these little kids are around me taking music lessons. And then I get called in for my half an hour, and then I have to go home. And now I just like flip open my computer and we do the lesson. It usually, and I'm just like, I can't believe how awesome this is. Like, it's just as good, it's if not better. Like, so yeah, that would be my advice, because you can read all the self-help books and motivational quotes in the world, and oh man, to do it by yourself, it's, even for me, who, like, I love exercising and I thrive on it, even for me, I don't think I would have been where I am now if I didn't reach out and get some help.
All right, guys, you made it this far. Hope you're enjoying the episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment. Tell us about your favorite part.
Yeah, and maybe you don't like how we look. Tell us that too. I mean, Keith's pretty amazing dude. Don't pick on him.
So I know a lot of people, when they're getting up in age, are thinking, I can't do certain things, like, oh, I can't do that style of training. But I feel like kettlebells are the one thing that you should and can do really at any age you're at, and they're very beneficial, whether you're a kid or you're 60 or 70 years old, or you're coming off an injury. I just want to hear kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, like, I think I guess, for lack of a better term, to get good at kettlebells, like, to be able to do an overhead squat, keeping your arms straight and like squatting below parallel, you need to have a certain amount of strength and agility, and if you don't have it, if you keep practicing, you can actually gain that with kettlebell training, right? Way more quickly than you could if you, say, did a yoga class, or because you're stretching under a weight, so your muscles feel safe when they're loaded up and you're squatting. That you kind of shut down that Golgi tendon organ from protecting you, so you fool the stretch reflex. So I think it's like a really quick way for a guy that's really stiff to get mobile again. Because, man, I tell you, I've got lots of friends that are my age and maybe a little bit older that back before COVID, we'd go and train together, and they couldn't even do the 5 Tibetan rights. Like, they're just so jacked up and stiff, and but they could do kettlebell clean and presses, like you said, like the way the kettlebell flops over your hand is so nice, eh? And they could learn to do windmills, and they could learn to do Turkish get-ups, and then from there you can progress them a little bit further and start getting some more complex movements. But and at the same time, you're huffing and puffing and you're getting some cardiovascular as well, right? I don't think kettlebell training is the optimal mechanism for pure strength. I think that's where the barbell comes in. But for, like we talked about, for most people that want to stay young and do some strength training, I can't think of a better way. Like, it's really non-harmful. And for you guys, if you wanted to maintain your strength on the deadlift, you could actually do that in between days where you're doing the 6-week program, for instance, because you're using a relatively lighter weight with a kettlebell. So you're not fatiguing your nervous system as much as you would, like you did yesterday when you did some max lifting, right? So it's very easy on the body, very easy on the joints, but very hard on the muscles and the heart muscle. Because that's one muscle that gets neglected, right?
Yeah, and it teaches people to actually move properly, because
Yes.
one thing barbells don't allow for is always proper mechanics, because you can put a bar on someone's back and ask them to squat, and if their shoulders are too tight, if their pecs are too tight, their hips, ankles are too tight, which chances are one of those are going to be, the squat's going to come out completely messed up. Whereas I give you a kettlebell, I can goblet it, and then I go from there, front rack position, get up higher, eventually overhead it. There's so many ways you can get into something, and doing something like kettlebell swing, teach you how to properly hip hinge instead of, here, pick this bar up from the ground. I feel like it's pretty applicable to really any sport. And my background was always basketball, and I would see a high transfer for those athletes, because they're allergic to the weight room. That's just how it is. Everyone knows it. But you take something like a kettlebell, you're doing swings or different complexes. That's what we need to be able to do. I need to be able to be strong when I'm all the way down into a position and I'm on one leg because I'm shuffling. If I'm not strong there and I get the smallest bump, I'm screwed. I need to be able to twist while controlling strength, or else when I rip through, someone's going to knock the ball out of my arms or I can't finish. So I think people just need to give it more of a shot before saying like it won't work for them. I'm not saying people do that, but in general, more people need to get in with kettlebells.
Well, and like for me, like now that I'm getting back into it, like I'm really recognizing how vital it is. Like I was doing some Turkish get-ups this afternoon with a lighter weight than I've used in years, and wow, like it really made me see how amazing of a movement it is. Like it's just like, you're holding this weight over your head and you're trying to scooch your leg underneath you, and if you don't keep your abs tight, then you cave. Like it's I was doing them so much that I didn't appreciate the movement anymore. And now that I haven't done them in a while, I'm like, wow, like no wonder people have jacked shoulders. Like it's really hard to put that kind of a load in that position on the shoulder any other way. Like rubber bands and all that kind of stuff are great, but there's something about that, the windmill and the clean, or the windmill and the Turkish get up, I think are really good movements, very healthy movements for the shoulder. And like you said about the powerlifting, like the squats and the deadlifts, like you're really hammering home repeatedly under a submaximal load, mind you, but that those correct squatting mechanics. So when you do get under a barbell, your brain says, okay, yeah, this is a little different, but basically I know that my knees have to track outwards, and it does carry over nice. I'm not going to say you're going to improve your deadlift by doing a bunch of swings. That would be a crazy thing to say, but it definitely will help maintain that. Or maybe for somebody that doesn't know how to deadlift, it definitely hammers home that hip hinge and straight back and all that kind of stuff. So
definitely when you even 2 greens doing a front squat for sets of 10 that's no joke. Like that's for power cardio at a heavy weight. And it's just like that builds up your core strength so much as well. That's why I love those. And then another thing, like you were talking about Turkish get up, and Darrell's more relating it to basketball, but I'm more of martial arts. I was a pro fighter for a while, and then I got more into judo and grappling. And the big one I see it translate into a lot is the grappling, because the Turkish get up is the same movement as the technical get up, which is when you're supposed to get off the ground, you plant, you put your foot up, you have your arm up protecting you, and then you kind of pop up and stand up. So if you can do that with a 30-pound dump or a kettlebell, and it's so much easier to build power in grappling and all those functional movements where you need, you know, not just a barbell locked in with a compound movement. You need like an open chain movement where it's like your foot's going to be there, but you're planting here with this arm, and it really crosses over to martial arts. And that's why, you know, in Japan, even 10, 15 years ago, I was using them with the Indian bells, the ones you can do the, you know, the Iranian.
Yeah.
Those are really cool. I can't really find too many around here, but we had these giant wooden ones in our gym, in the MMA gym. And I was like, how do you use those? And they're showing me. And all that's, you know, the Japanese are into the professional wrestling, and all that was kind of part of their hard style. So yeah, definitely martial arts, you know, maybe that's the Extreme 7 where we do
well, I honestly can't wait for you guys to try either. I want you guys to either try the 6-week program with the first 2 videos, or Extreme 3. You guys might really love Extreme 3 because that's all double kettlebell stuff. And it's just, it's brutal. I think that one, it's like a 3-day-a-week program, and that one is like, I think 4 weeks is sort of the max that you can go on that one without just getting sick of it. Like, it's very, very challenging. I did that with the kids and their friends after we did the 6-week program, and after the first week, they were like coming up to me saying, Keith, I don't know if we should do this. Like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, it was that hard. And I remember thinking the same thing. I was like, I know what you mean. Like, this is absolutely brutal. Like, I cannot believe how hard this workout is, right? Like, but then at the end,
your workouts segments, I might have to do them in like, okay, there's the first 2 movements. I'll do the other 2 later on today. Like, I don't know about the whole, the cardio part of it. I'm a little.
Well, the beauty of it is now, like, you could start with a lighter weight, that, because by the end of the set, it'll feel heavy enough. And then just, you know, as you get used to it and you kind of get the routines, then you'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to go with a heavier weight. Like, that's why I like the 6-week program, because you can start out with a lighter weight, and then as you go through, you can maybe, okay, I'm ready to, you know, up the weight. But it's very, there's so much variety with it. Like, it's
nice.
I can't wait to see you guys. You guys are going to love it. It's exactly what you're looking for, because you want something that's going to improve your cardio and your strength and your mobility, and strip weight, but not make you weaker. Like, right, if you went on, like, if you trained for a marathon, you'd probably lose some weight, but it probably wouldn't be the kind of weight that you want to lose. So
yeah, a marathon. How about a 1K? I like your confidence in what I'm going to be able to do.
No, like, guys with a lifting background, like, you're going to love it because it's going to feel familiar to you.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like such a different shock to the system. It's, I can't wait. Wait to see.
I got a videographer. He's moving into the studio. This is actually in the upstairs in my gym right now. I'm building it out, and I'm going to have him follow me around. So maybe I'll get him to take some videos of me at the beginning and at the end, and how I've kind of improved. Because, you know, those kind of videos are getting popular on the YouTube. Darrell and I are talking about it. You know, just, you know, fat guy does kettlebell work, extreme kettlebell workout.
Yeah.
There, and you this little thumbnail, and everybody clicks on that shit, you know.
People love that.
So we've talked about quite a bit, but kind of haven't touched on, what are your plans for like the next 5 years? Not just with the kettlebells, but just yourself. Like, will there be an Extreme volume 10? Like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah, like, I want to, like, I've got a couple new workouts that I want to test out on people. And I think people love gimmicks. And so, like, one's going to be called the hockey bag skate workout. The other one's going to be UFC round, where it's going to be 5 minutes. Because I was watching UFC last weekend, and I was like, God, how could you create a workout that would almost emulate like a round in UFC? So you'd have like a little bit of standing and then a little bit laying down on your back. And so I'm trying to create new workouts that are still, I just don't want to make my workouts watered down, so that there's so much variety that you just sort of like getting your cardio. Like, I want it to be where it's like you're your muscles are like shaking, and well, you'll see when you do the videos, but
Great.
yeah, I want to create something fresh where it's almost programmable. So it's not just like but I'm still going to put random workouts on YouTube, and yeah, and then I'm just going to really, because I don't think I'll do another triathlon in my life. Like, I got the surgery so I could maybe possibly run again, but I think realistically, like, my days of running marathons and stuff are over. So maybe like trail runs, the short, but I want to be able to hike and stuff and climb mountains with my wife. So yeah, like, I'm just gonna like realize for the rest of my life, like, weight training is gonna be my main focus. And so I think out of that, I'm going to create a whole bunch of really cool ideas that will appeal to lots of different people, like maybe guys like you that like to fight and like to lift and play basketball, this sort of stuff. So
Nice.
and then as far as the business goes, like, I want to get my kids so that they're really good at fixing people, and have clinics in different places. Like, I really think a clinic in Canmore would be fantastic, because there's lots of people there that want to be active, and they don't want to be told to go home with exercises. They want to be told that they can go skiing the next day, and yeah, and just enjoy life. Like, I'm just so thankful, like, that I have created this life that I get to talk with guys like you. And like, I fully plan on coming down to Calgary and training with you guys, and just to have all these opportunities that I have doing things I love. It's just sometimes I almost feel like maybe I'm too comfortable, because I just like what I'm doing so much that I don't want, like, I'm not striving to, maybe I wouldn't mind working a little bit less, but I don't work that, I work like a full week, but it's not, compared to some people, it's not that bad. I'm doing something I love, and it's not like I'm burnt out at the end of the day. So yeah, I just want to keep appreciating life, and I want to get better at being organized enough to put stuff on YouTube to share with other people. And because even only one person sees some of the things I did to recover, that's going to be worth it, but you know what it's like. It takes a lot of time to film stuff and edit it, and you have to be like really organized and focused. So that's my goal, I think, is just to be more organized, waste less time. And just because when you turn 51, you actually do start thinking about, you start doing the math. Like, I'm like, so in 20 years, I'm going to be 71. That's old. Like, in 20 years, like,
Yeah.
that's a long time, but it's not that long of a time. So yeah, I just want to like really appreciate life, and this whole recovering from surgery has definitely made me appreciate life more. So it's kind of a gift, a blessing in disguise.
Nice.
So,
I mean, yeah, we got that 10-year gap between us all. And I just like think, in 10 years, I just started my own business. I'd like to be kind of where you're at, where you're kind of this awesome 51-year-old dude that's happy with his life, and doesn't really have to worry too much about, other than doing your job and, helping people. And that's pretty awesome. That's what we do. Right. And for Darrell, I just like right now, he's such a competitive guy that I want to see him like be one of the best lifters in the world, and all natural. And we can live by that. Right. So it's pretty awesome. So it's great to see that, those 10-year gaps where,
it's crazy.
But just, everybody that's listening, having this awesome interview with you, they want to reach out to you. How can they do that? Let's say if they're in that Red Deer area and like, I have a shitty physiotherapist, I need to see this guy.
Well, if you Google Weber Physiotherapy Clinic, that's probably the easiest way to book an appointment. I'm not a very good receptionist, so but if people want to get a hold of me on Instagram, Kettlebell Keith PT. It was Kettlebell Keith, but I put the PT at the end so people would know I'm a physio, but I don't think anyone really cares. So I might change it back to Kettlebell Keith. But yeah, people hit me up on Instagram all the time, and I like that. Facebook, yeah, it's I love it. Like, I get to talk to people about exercising, and getting fitter and getting better, like all the time. Like it's a dream. Like really my life is a dream come true. Like I couldn't be more thankful for the path I've been on. So.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's kind of like the end game for me. Definitely is just, living that path. And then like you do, you're not taking days off. If you want to live that path, you got to live that path, and you got to extraordinary, or else people, if you're kettlebells, Extreme Kettlebell 10, and you got a big old beer gun, and that's not going to fly. You're going to have that 8-pack for life.
Oh, well, and I'm lucky, right? Like I'm a skinny guy, and so every bit of muscle I've got on my body, I don't want to make it sound like it's harder than it is. Really, it's just consistency, right? And I don't like the term hard gainer. Like I see people that say they're hard gainers, and I look at their workout and I'm like, well, 3 sets of 10 on the squats probably not gonna be quite enough. So so I think, but I love it. I love hard training, and I love just the whole lifestyle, and I just love being around other people that have that same mentality. And it's rare, like people like us, we're not the norm, right? Most guys my age, they just golf, and I don't mind golfing, but I do it as little as humanly possible. Like I golf with my father-in-law just because I love the guy, but it's just not something that I'm passionate about. Whereas on the flip side, a lot of guys my age, I think they would be passionate about weight training if they realized how much better it made them feel, and how much better it made their golf game, and how much better it made them, in their relationships with their wives and things like that. Like, I just think the hormonal profile that tends to happen with guys my age, if you don't take steps to combat that. And I think the best way to combat it for now, like I'm not going to take any like prescription drugs to help my testosterone. I'm going to lift heavy. And that's my goal right now, is to get back into kettlebells, get back into squatting and deadlifting and benching heavy, and get my hormones optimized that way. And, that's the best way. That's the pure way. And who knows, the day might come when I'm Sylvester Stallone's age, and I might say, oh, geez, I need a little bit of help. But, hopefully I can keep doing what I'm doing and just keep getting better and pushing myself without having to go to the doctor. So far, so good.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, something I can look forward to. I mean, everybody's considered, oh, I need TRT, my test is low. But I've always had this kind of like, I've been an athlete at a high level. I'm like never dabbled in it. And I love having that power to say that over guys, even if they did like one cycle, or they're just this, like I've never done that. And, your max lift is my warm up. So it's called hard work, motherfucker. But but thanks so much, Keith. This is a great interview. And this is going to be one of our top ones for sure. And it's nice to connect with you and like just have that alignment in our values and everything. And you can always come to my gym anytime. It's only about an hour drive. So if you ever feel and Darrell and I can teach you how to, that's a little proper form, and get you doing those big lifts and hitting new PRs.
Yeah, that would be great. And we could do some kettlebell training, and we could we'd have a blast. Yeah.
Good.
We'll make this happen very soon. Yeah.
100%. All right. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you
soon,
soon.
guys. Sounds good. Have a good night, you guys.
You too.
See ya.
Special guest, Extreme Kettlebell workout creator, Joe Rogan's go-to workout, Keith Weber.
All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Keith. Hope you learned something from it. I know we definitely did, and I'm excited to try it out in the future. Russ?
Yeah, it's just one of those interviews where, you connect with someone, and, we went on longer than we ever have, and it was amazing. And, I just felt this connection with Keith, and the awesome part is he's only about an hour away from us. So we're going to be, doing some challenges with him. And as we talked about on the podcast, he's going to do some challenges with us, maybe take up some powerlifting, maybe even do a meet. Well, I mean, we got the right guy for kettlebells, and he's got the right guy for lifting. And so definitely enjoy that podcast. I know we did, and hopefully Keith did as well. Thank you. Boom.
All right, everyone. Hope you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you stay tuned so you can get all of our interviews when they come out, or our shit talking segments.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of shit talking. And don't forget to eat big,
train hard,
and always be fight ready.
Guys, one bench. Shit talking. Strength sports. Combat sports. Game over. Resolute. Prepare yourself for battle. Choices and consequences. Misfit. Bridge City brand. The Gilded Beard. Sculptech, SMP industry leader. Boost CBD. Unlock your true performance. Powerlifting motivation.
Her lifting.
With Jana. Her lifting inside edition.